Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. It's now 6 o'clock. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes held from the 14th of February. Your motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of February 14th.
Motion made, second. All in favor? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a crop presentation of
Kieran Croft. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I'd like to introduce Kieran Croft. Kieran is going for his Eagle Scout, and he Eagle Scout badge, and he has done a project for the town of Oakland, and he's going to give you a short presentation over what that project was. You do have a photo of what he's got. Kieran, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. So I built 8 benches to go down at the gazebo and the boat landing. I had to present my plan to my scout troop, to the Scout Council, and then once I had it approved, I had to go ask around stores for donations of wood, materials, and Home Depot donated $175 worth of supplies to my project. I found my basic design online, and I got it approved by Gary and AJ. What we didn't get donated, we had to buy for $65, and said the town would pay us
We'll take
back.
care of that.
All right.
Gonna hold you to that.
As you can see from the photos, they did an outstanding job, and the reason for these benches is we have a brand new gazebo, and each one of these benches are going to be in front of a section on the inside, so that if there's a wedding held down there, we can take the benches and set them into a pew type arrangement so people can actually have a wedding. It'll give people in the summertime a place to sit and relax in the shade without having to haul those picnic tables in there, so I think there's a real advantage on it. You know, young people like this are getting harder and harder to find. And the motivation that's behind this, and as you can see, the quality of the product that he delivered to the town of Oakland is outstanding. And for one thing, I certainly appreciate the dedication and the work that you did, and the support that you got from your parents. And Jennifer, thank you. You did an outstanding job, and thank you very much.
Mr. Croft, could you tell us, because I know already, could you tell us who your brothers are and what they made for their Eagle Scout? Ms. Croft, you ought to be, as I said when I was at your other son's presentation, I don't know how you walk through any doorway, your head should be so forward. They're such amazing young kids, truly.
Yeah,
So-
Taylor, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, let him do it, I think that's great.
Both my older brothers are Eagle Scouts. My oldest brother, Taylor, also built benches for someplace else and a small picnic table. Cameron built a Lego table to go inside the library for kids and stuff, for them to use all the Legos that were there.
Thank you. Ms. Croft, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for being an amazing, awesome parent.
Could I get a motion from council to accept this gift of these benches and about?
I'll make a motion, we accept the benches that Kieran made and thank him for his project.
Can I get a second? Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Kieran?
Thank you
One
very
thing
much.
he also didn't mention is we had about, it was somewhere around $400 worth of donations. We had Hammond and Lowe's and Home Depot, so the community really helped out a lot too.
Thank you,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How old are you?
13.
Congratulations, young man. Congratulations, that's great, really.
You said that the town owes $65 for the
the materials that he had to pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
I'd like for my fishing club to pay the $65 out of pocket because we do all our fishing down there and this will be a great asset to us.
Thank you.
So,
There you go, all donations.
It's
then.
all donated.
Yeah,
okay?
Thank you.
that's great.
All set.
Mr. Bowman, do you have a question?
Technical question. What kind of wood did you use for these?
Free.
Is it pressure treated? Is it?
It's pressure treated.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
it should
looks like
hold up.
Southern Yellow Pine, which is the same stuff that the gazebo's made out of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
We're
there
gonna
you go.
enjoy that.
Good job. Karen.
Yes, that,
Okay, Jennifer, thank you very much.
We got another presentation, Karen, you set the bar pretty high for these guys.
Nice seeing you.
Great, I have one more
Karen,
voice.
congratulations. Karen, how do you want me to get the money to
Hi,
him?
guys.
You can just come see me.
Sorry, what was the question?
How do you want me to get the money to him? Does he want to come down to the middle school and I
Well,
can have it?
the receipts are right there, and he's
Oh,
at the middle school,
Oh, he's at the middle school.
Yeah,
He's
he's
at
at-
high school?
so you can just find him.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll give him the money tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you the slips.
I don't need the slips.
You don't need it, okay.
I trust him.
Bye.
Next item is fire station update.
Okay, for those of you who have not met Boyd, this is Boyd Snowden. Boyd works for the sewer department as an engineer. He's also the municipal engineer for the town of Oakland. And Boyd has taken the position of the chairperson for the facilities committee. He's taken Mike Willie's place, and he's doing an outstanding job. And this presentation has been put together by Boyd. Boyd, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So pretty much what we want to do today is just give an overview of where we've been and where we're heading as far as in this project. So we're going to touch on the historical timeline, what's happened since the police department got developed, describe the need for the facility, probably call on chief at certain points in time to discuss some of the deficiencies in the existing building, describe some of the deficiencies in that facility, review the draft concept plans that we've developed to date, and then discuss the next steps and timeline. Some of these slides you'll see were presented by Mike Woolley at a council meeting in September, I believe, of 2017, when we talked about where the committee was moving on this. So just real briefly, for those of you that don't know what's been happening, in 2014, before the police department got built, the building committee, prior to my involvement, had I don't know how many members the original committee had, but 8 or 9 or whatever it was, got together and looked at all the facilities in the town and looked at which ones needed repair or replacement. Police department was number 1, because that old farmhouse they were in. Second, though, was the Fairfield Street Fire Station that was listed in either need or repair or replacement. 2015, the committee did a public survey, and the results of that survey, the public found that 65.67% of the people that were in the survey and listed facility station improvements for that Fairfield Street facility. It was second only to the guaranteed response, which is rated at 67.16%. So that gave the committee a pretty good indication that 2015 was when this was really starting to get rolling, the police department. But that really gave the committee indication that there was a strong desire for the public to look at the Fairfield Street facility. 2017, February, the building committee, after the police station was built, started looking at the fire station in February of last year, began to look at whether they'd be looking at either repair, expansion, or complete replacement of the existing building. In April 2017, after quite a bit of research and evaluation, the committee decided that replacement was necessary because of the issues we'll be talking about shortly. In July 2017, After that decision to move forward, we looked at a number of different lots, both lots with no buildings on them as well as the existing parcel. And as we'll get into later on, we decided that the current site where the existing facility is was the best location for a future fire department. In July of 2017, the town began discussions with Meslonsky Stream Hydro about acquiring a portion of their property that that currently houses their turbines. September 2017, the town received word from Meslonsky Hydro that they were going to donate the property as part of the fire department project. So that was a great surprise for us all. Late September 2017, the town sent out an RFP to the land surveyor, and that's shortly after Mike Willie came to the council to talk about receiving that donation from Meslonsky Stream Hydro, and we ended up putting an RFP and hiring a land surveyor to define that property for us. October 2017, we had a committee kickoff meeting to begin talking about the future fire department building, what it might look like, floor plans, just some very conceptual ideas to get things moving forward. And from that point until now, the committee's been working on those floor plan layouts, going through different options, different concepts, and trying to develop that complete concept package that we can put cost estimates together based upon. So this is one chart that Mike Willie had done after the police station was built. See here, when this was built under budget and on schedule, the next one on that list with major deficiencies was the fire department. I guess I'd like to refer to the chief on this because he knows this data better than anybody. But basically you can see here the population obviously is significantly increased. This is a comparison between 1955, which is the blue, and the orange, which is 2017. So this is, you can see obviously population is significantly increased. The structures have tripled. Fire calls nearly tripled, if not over. Rescue calls, there were 0 rescue calls in 1955, and last year, Chief, you had 637, correct?
Yeah, I think it's 2016 data.
Oh, it's 2016 data, okay. And then the staff, 1955, they had 40 plus volunteers, correct, Chief? And then now you've got 23 volunteers and 2 full-time.
Full-time chief and the per diem.
Yeah. So been a lot of changes with the same facility. A lot of increased demand for the needs of that facility within the same footprint. Just to take some pictures the chief had provided to us, 1950 era Oakland fire station, 3,000 square feet, had 3 fire trucks. Modern stations nowadays vary from 12,000 to 15,000 square feet for this type of, for this large of a community. Obviously the fire trucks, ladder trucks, a lot more equipment necessary to fight fires and also to answer rescue calls. Also, just the size of the vehicles have changed. 1950 fire truck, 22 feet long, 7 feet wide and high. Modern trucks, 34 feet long, 9 foot 6 inches wide and high. So obviously, being that the facility was designed in the 1950 era, obviously all the equipment was significantly smaller than it is now, which is part of the issue fire department has had for years, for a number of years here with that existing facility. As you can see here, a picture that Chief provided. Those doors are 10 by 10 doors, and they really, most modern, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but most modern fire stations are 14 by 14, probably minimum doors. So you can see here, there's not a lot of space there between that mirror and the side and the the side walls. One of the issues, besides obviously the issue with potential damage from trucks coming in and out of there, One of the other issues is every time they get a new piece of equipment, they have to special order it for width. So, and anytime you special order anything, it costs more money. So that's another aspect of this facility that kind of drives other costs as far as the equipment. The other aspect that they mentioned you see here is that the snow, any snow in this area right here has to be cleared out regularly. If it builds up too much, they run the risk of hitting the light bar on top of the door. So obviously that's another issue, especially if you're trying to get out quickly to fight a fire or to help somebody. Safety issues, there are a number of them in that building. One of the big ones here that Chief had indicated was, there's one center floor drain. So when these trucks come in the wintertime, full of ice and snow and slush and everything else, all that drains, melts onto the floor, all rushes to the middle, and that creates safety issues, slip and fall hazards for those firefighters in that facility. So really, the fire department really should have individual drains underneath so that it'll actually drain under the vehicles instead of draining where people are maneuvering through the facility. Couple pictures here. There's some other structural issues with the building the committee found. This picture is not a great picture. It's hard to see, but that's about a 2-inch drop in the concrete slab in the mechanical room, furnace room, where basically that whole slab is settled out a couple inches, and I think that's been there for years, isn't it, Chief? I mean, it's been a number of years that that's settled out. Yeah. You can see here some cracking, also related to some movement of the building, probably some settlement. And the other picture here shows where, those tight quarters with the trucks when they're coming in and out. Actually, that was one, I believe, that where actually a truck clipped that post and clipped that wall and did some damage to that exterior wall. So being tight, confined quarters there with the trucks in and out, that type of thing is bound to happen. Some of the other deficiencies that the committee found, inaccessibility issues, if you look here, you've got these volunteers coming, flying into the department to go take care of a call. Not a lot of room to maneuver in there with your equipment to get around and get in that truck and get out the door. Obviously that presents hazards and just delay time for all the personnel trying to answer that call. So definitely some accessibility is another issue. So with the committee, what they've been following, Mike Willie had started this, the fire department committee after the police department work had been complete, using the same format that we used in the facility planning for the police department, the same process. Much of the phase 1 and 2, the committee had done back in 2014, as I mentioned, when they were doing the full town assessment. Right now, we're in step 11, which is developing preliminary cost and conceptual designs, although we have started getting into steps 12 and 13, where we've already secured the donation of the land. So we're using that same successful process that worked for us in the past. So just real briefly, wanted to show you, these are not finalized in any way. These are just current drafts of what we're looking at for a facility, a possible facility. You've got the apparatus bays. This will be Fairfield Street down here. You've got apparatus bays here. You've got the communications room, the chief's office, the main entrance here to the fire department, meeting room, standby room, another office up there. EMS room there. One of the good things about this that the chief had mentioned in one of the committee meetings, they're supposed to keep their gear separate from where their office quarters are. And with the current facility, there's a lot of mixing going on that is, you know, when they come in from fighting a fire, they've probably got a lot of contaminants on their gear. So getting that area separated from the office area is certainly a safety issue in with the current facility, but an improvement with the proposed facility.
Wait, there is a pointer right there. if you-
Okay, yeah, I'm vertically challenged, so I can only reach so high up, so. Training room up here, storage, a kitchen. One of the things that goes on at the fire department is they'll have different events. I know Eric does some, I don't know what groups he has in there, but I know some of the, elderly groups get together and he has a meal or what have you for them throughout the year. So this training room would be used not only for the fire department, but also things like that, where you have a kitchen there, and could also be used for possible future. We talked about maybe voting, maybe possibly being in here if possible, or one of the other aspects of this that we talked about is, with the type of storms we've been having, maybe this could become a warming area for people that, have lost power and need a place to kind of get warmed up before they go attack whatever the issue is at their home. So, a lot of different aspects of this that can be used to really
How big is
really
that
help the
room
community.
compared to this room?
This is 29, this is a little bit larger, this is 29.4 by 36. I think this was
22 by 24.
22 by 24.
So that's larger.
Yeah, definitely larger, yeah, and the thought was, one, when they're training, they've got a lot more equipment than police officers do when they're training. But if we're gonna have a training room, we thought, let's try to utilize that as far as for other facilities, like I said, possibly voting. If we do have some type of emergency in the public, this may be used along with maybe the apparatus bays for something for the public to bring them in.
Is there a
So-
kitchen off of that?
There is a kitchen, yeah, right in here, off from that, which is similar to what they have now. So.
And what's the little meeting room down in the right-hand corner for?
This one right here?
Yep.
I guess I'll refer to Chief on that. My understanding was that was for like plan review
Like
or
a
different.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
conference, small conference room where you have a table set up where you could meet with 6 or 8 people or less.
Okay.
Because sometimes you have like the rescue people or other towns coming in
There's
or
often
what have you.
multiple things going on at the same time. There's a lot more community use of the fire station than a police station, as far as and the amount of use that this room gets used, and our room is still getting used. With a new facility, you get even more use. So that would give us just a little conference room where if you had a vendor come in, or you had somebody come in with a subdivision plan that you had to review, you'd have a place where you could do that, even if there was something going on in the main room.
Thank you. How many bays are there in there?
There are 4 bays. One bay here, this bay. These 2 bays are back-to-back bays, so they'll have smaller trucks here that can actually exit out the back and around the front. So the apparatus that are in these 4 different areas right here will be back-to-back here, so these folks can just come right out the front, and then these people can go out to the
So
back side.
how many doors are there?
There'll be 4 doors.
6
1,
doors.
2, 3, 4 main doors, and then 2 in the back.
Oh, straight back,
Straight back. Yep,
not off to the side.
correct. And then this is their SCBA, which is their air tanks and, fill area and things like that. Right now, where do you do a lot of that? A lot of that's in the truck bays.
It's out in the truck bays, yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of gives the area for this, so some of this equipment to be housed. Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I remember you at one of the committee meetings said that there's a lot of equipment that isn't even at this facility because there's no room for it. Chief has equipment in his basement, so, his personal house, I'm sure, I don't know if there are other things out there too, so.
Yeah, we got stuff all over the place. We use the Cascade storage building over behind Station 2. We keep all of our drinking water, the Poland Springs, they'll donate a pallet of water to us, we've got nowhere to put it, we store that in Dave Groder's basement. All of our extra turnout gear, boots, gloves, things like that, that's stored at my
ATVs?
house.
boat, new TVs over there. at the
That's in the
council.
Cascade building as well, which is not real easily accessible. We have trailers with snowmobiles, we store that at Public Works. So we have stuff kind of spread out.
So does this concise everything, this and the one up by Heath Street?
Correct, we still have the station on the other side of the tracks as well. And then we wouldn't have other stuff stored all over town, it would be brought into the station, yes.
So there would be, all the stuff you just talked about, is here, there, everywhere.
Yep.
Would be at two places.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Any other questions on the floor plan before I jump to the,
So some of those rooms don't have windows, though, do they?
we haven't really got into the window part yet because it's very conceptual, so I'm sure there are gonna be rooms like the mechanical room. This won't have any windows here. SCBA room, I can't imagine you'll have a window there.
I was looking at the office that's right in kind of in the middle over here on the right side.
Nothing in the middle.
Nothing in here. Yeah, those are all just internal. You're gonna have some windows around these areas here, and definitely the training
Yeah,
room.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we're not even talking about having any windows over here on the north side, so, unless we have something for natural,
Way up top, but
natural light or
we're gonna
something.
be able to afford it.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yes.
a couple of questions I think are pertaining to, is this gonna have enough room to do all the things that we need to do? And that was one of the things the facility dealt with the other day, was that obviously if you add room, it's gonna add cost. We don't even know what the initial cost is for this one. But Boyd's looking at, if we did expand either upwards on this paper or to the right, you could pick up some footage that might make that large training room even a little bit bigger, because we know no matter what room you have, this we thought was gonna be adequate, and it's small. That one's gonna be bigger, but it may be something that if the cost isn't prohibitive, we may wanna expand the building either north or west to provide bigger areas so that we don't have the cramped conditions and we don't end up storing stuff other places 10 years from now, because there we go again. So that's one of the things that Boyd's gonna.
The other thing I'd like to add to that is with all the stuff that's happening in these schools, I feel that it's just a matter of time before we're not allowed to go in and vote in there and bring people from the outside. So I think that if we can build this thing to the point where we can handle our own voting here with municipal facilities, it's gonna be pretty important. And,
The other thing, just to add to what Don indicated, is by expanding in either of those directions, some of these offices are fairly small, and again, we don't really know where the cost is gonna come in at this point. It's kind of what we're working through right now to get an idea on budget. So Chief has really kind of honed in a lot of this from, what they would desire to what's the minimum available. So we may expand a little bit of that and get these closer to what Chief and the fire department had originally looked at, if the budget allows. So.
and we're building this out to 75 to 100 years too, for future growth and whatever happens in town.
I'm doing okay.
What's the overall size?
We're at about 11,000 square feet, which is about 1,000 feet lower than what the average is for, if you remember right, it was 12 to 15,000, we're at about 11,000 right now.
It's a 80-foot by 135-foot.
80 by 100.
Versus right now, which I'm trying to remember what the existing facility is, 50.
3,600.
But I'm trying to think dimensions, like 50 or 60 feet, one
Yeah,
dimension.
60.
Yeah, it's considerably bigger, but as we talked about in the deficiencies, they've really grown out of that existing facility there. Years ago, they grew out of it, so.
One level,
One level.
posted how high?
Say that again?
Posted how high? What's the height of the building?
The height of the building, I don't know the exact height, but it's gotta be in the 30-some-odd foot range, because it's gonna be, you've got at least 14 to 16 feet for just the bay apparatus itself, and then you've got whatever additional clearance there, so I'd say it's.
I believe it's posted 18 feet.
Is that what it is,
I believe
18?
that's what he was talking about, posting 18 feet.
We do have a section view that might show that too, so.
Well, this picture that's here from Underhill, wherever it is Couple different heights.
Yes.
The garages.
That's exactly what we're gonna shoot for here.
Yeah. This, it is single floor, except for there is a mezzanine right here, and then it'll go over here where we can store some equipment on top.